once you understand that everything that I've said in my films, once you understand that all that actually exists in this reality is energy. That's it, energy and frequencies of energy. And this frequency spectrum goes from one side to another, two different polarities. You're given the freedom of choice as to which polarity you choose to be in. And these two polarities are love and fear. There is no reason for there to be any problems in this earth. There is no reason for anyone to be starving. There is no reason for any of these wars. There is no reason for anybody to be in control of anybody else. The only reason it remains this way is because this entire consciousness is locked in fear. Don't be afraid to speak out, folks. Don't be afraid to speak out. Just be aware of what energy you're in when you do speak out. Make sure you're doing it from a center of love. That's the thing, see? Don't speak out from hatred. Don't speak out against the government and go marching and protesting on the street because you want confrontation. Speak out from love. Speak out because you wish to embrace that type of energy rather than the energy of fear, rather than the energy of hatred. Hatred is simply based in fear. That's why I do what I do, folks. I speak out because it's the right thing to do. Because there comes a time when you look at what's going on in the world and you see how far the controllers of this world, the people who are locked in fear, who are locked in false ego, and who are controlling this planet through the manipulation of fear, you see how far these people will go. And you see what they're doing, and there comes a time in your life when to not speak out is to passively comply with what these people are doing. And passive compliance becomes so odious that you just cannot not speak out. Once you can see what's going on in the world, there comes a time when not speaking out means you're part of the problem. So I speak out because I love you all. I speak out because it's so obvious how to fix things. I speak out because it's the right thing to do. So anyway, folks, I had a few ideas of what I was going to talk about today, but I ended up sort of throwing them all away, and I sat down and I thought, well, I think I'll just talk to everybody today and see what comes out, and I'll try to pour a little bit of what's in my heart out to people and just hope the words come out right. So that's what I've been doing for the first half of the show anyway. And we'll just have to see where we go with the second half of the show. But I think it's time for a break. So I'll leave it here for now, and I will talk to you in a few minutes. Well, welcome back, folks. Now, earlier in the show, I was talking about how World War II was a beta test, and it's the same people that are running the war on terror. Now, you've really got to look at how all this was done. You've got this international banking cartel. They run all the banks, all the central banking system in all countries. You understand that the central bank is what runs the government. And all of these central banks are all privately owned. They can all be traced back to the shareholders of the International Monetary Fund. It's the same people. They run all the central banks. It's the Rothschilds, the 13 families, you know, the Rockefellers, all these people. The Rockefellers are kind of like the office boys for the Rothschild family. It all goes back to the Rothschilds, folks. Forget the Rockefellers. They're small. They're just, they're like the general managers. And look, if you think World War II wasn't a staged event, you've just got to look at the bigger picture at World War II. I mean, look at it. You've got both sides of the war being financed by Rothschild banks. Okay? Now, look, if you're at war with a country, folks, if you, Joe Friday, you've gone and set up a bank in New York, okay, you're just a banker, and suddenly your country is at war with someone overseas, you're at war with whoever, Spain, okay, then you don't go and lend Spain their money so they can fight the war, because you're at war with this country. This is trading with the enemy. You can't go and lend money to the other country. You know, this is treason. But in World War II, we've got the Rothschild family who run all the European banks. They've been doing this for ages. They run all the European banks, they run most of the American banks, the whole thing. They run the whole show, all the banking system. They're at the top of the food chain in the banking community. Now, they were lending money to both sides. You look at the British royal family. The British royal family are actually a German family. They are the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha family. You know, we've got the Battenbergs and all of this crew. They all came over from Germany, set themselves up in England, and you've got basically two cousins arguing with each other. That was World War One. It was basically a corporate takeover of Germany, World War One. And then they set up World War Two, and it was a complete setup. Now look, London got bombed. London got bombed, got carpet bombed by Germany at one stage during what was called the Blitzkrieg. Now London got almost reduced to complete rubble. Not one bomb fell on Buckingham Palace. Do you think that was from luck? Do you think that Buckingham Palace was protected by God? I mean, really, what's God going to do when he looks at a war? I mean, think about this, folks. Well, England goes to war and says God's on our side. Germany goes to war and says God's on our side. America goes to war and says God's on their side. God's on everybody's side. God's up there saying, hey, what are you guys doing having war? And I doubt that God would choose sides, okay? God's on nobody's side when it comes to war. God doesn't want war. Whatever you think God may be, God doesn't want war. It was not by chance that Buckingham Palace didn't get bombed. So how was Germany even able to wage a war? Germany's a little country. How did they get all that stuff to go out and try to take over the rest of the world the way they apparently tried to do? Well, they were financed by Rothschild banks. There's every indication that Adolf himself was a Rothschild. If you go look at the family tree, I know that sounds wild, but you can go and investigate this stuff and you'll find out that there are certain things that would very much suggest that Hitler was an illegitimate Rothschild. But anyway, even if, you know, all that aside, you've got Germany being financed by a Rothschild bank. All the steel that they got for their rail yards and to build their aircraft and all the things they did came from Ford Motor Company. All of the Zyklon D used for the gas chambers, all of the chemicals and all of the stuff they used in the war all came from IG Farben. Now, during the carpet bombing of London that I mentioned earlier on, the Blitzkrieg, the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, were only able to fly by using a special fuel additive that they needed for their planes. The motors were designed that way. That fuel additive could only be got from Standard Oil. This is a Rockefeller company. So without the help of the Rockefellers, you know, the Blitzkrieg would never have happened. The Luftwaffe wouldn't have been able to fly. Germany would not have had one plane in the sky were it not for the help of the Rockefellers. So okay, you've got IG Farben, you've got the Rockefellers, Standard Oil, you've got the Ford Motor Company, you've got IBM as well involved. I mean, there is so much Western help given to Germany in order to wage World War II. And you look at the fact that Buckingham Palace never got bombed. And then when you look at the fact that one of the worst atrocities of the entire World War II campaign, one of the worst bombing raids during World War II was the bombing of Dresden, it should give you an indication of what World War II was actually about. And if you don't know the story of the bombing of Dresden, now Dresden was a town in Germany, or a city in Germany, and between February 13th and February 15th in 1945, Allied forces bombed Dresden. There were 4 raids made on the city. There were 1,300 heavy bombers, and they dropped more than 3,900 tons of high explosives and incendiary bombs on Dresden. It was a town full of refugees, full of people who were running from the Nazis. The resulting firestorm, which covered an area of 39 square kilometres, 15 square miles of the city centre, it killed up to 135,000 civilians. The estimates vary, but this was one of the worst atrocities of World War II. This should be a little bit of a sign of what's actually going on here.